This is chapter 3, video number 6, and we're carrying on looking at the hours and the payroll calculation. So again, we want to make sure that our controls are properly set up, and you can see here again, these are not correct, so I'm going to make sure that those are correct before doing anything. So we've got here a text box for pay, and we're going to make sure those are correct. And then finally our output box is a label for wage, so this is a label for wage. And finally our display, there we go. So that's the button for wage, display wage. Let's make it the same. There we go. Perfect. All right, so all three of those, or four of those controls are set. Now, understanding the logic of this one is, of course, we're going to be typing in a number in here. It's a number of hours, and those could be numbers like 37.5 hours, and our wage could be $12.50, for example. So these are entered in as a string, but we have to convert those into a value so that they can be used. We have to change whatever gets entered into here to a particular type, and we're going to be entering different numbers in here, values, and those values could be decimal values. Of course, hours wouldn't be just a constant like 12 hours or 24 or whatever, 48 hours, 40 hours. They could have decimals. So it's clear to have to understand that the logic is what type of data is going to go in here. And then, of course, the calculation is quite easy. The formula is simply taking those two and multiplying them together to get the result. All right, so let's go into the display wage button. So when I double click that, you'll notice here it says when I click the button called display wage, what do we want it to do? Now, I like to set up this framework to help me sort of answer the questions. What variables am I going to need to declare for this exercise? What do I have to assign? Is there any calculations? And then finally, what's the output? I use this, it's a little acronym, DACO, which is DACO. So the DACO model is a pretty standard way of looking at how to start coding. And when you're first learning programming, this is a great, I think, tool to use. So you have to ask yourself, what variables do you want? Now, in the previous example, we used a string because we were entering in just words into these. But now we're going to enter in decimals. So we want to tell the computer that we want to use a decimal or store a decimal, and we want to give it a name. And the variable name is going to be called hours. How many hours are we going to work? So that's going to give us the ability to store the number of hours, and we can do basically the same thing for pay. So I can say, let's go back into decimal, and let's go in and we'll call that the pay. All right. Now, both of these have one other extra little feature that we can do here. We can also assign a value by default, and we can say, I want to start these off because I'm not sure what they're going to be. So let's initialize them to 0, and we put an N there to distinguish that it's going to be a decimal amount. Or value. So this is unique to this data type of decimal, where we can give it a name, and we're also going to assign a predetermined value. So this is our variable declaration. Do I need to declare one for here? Not really. I can just output the results to that. But if I wanted to, I could create a variable called total wage as well, and we could really do this up right. All right, so I'm going to go there, and I'm going to say, what is the wage? And we're going to say, let's initialize that to 0. And our variables now are complete. All right, so from there, we want to go in and then start assigning them. So I think since we're almost out of time on this video, I'll do another video here on how to assign variables in the next video.